Hello dear students of class 4 and welcome to yet another online class of science. Dear children, in our previous video we completed chapter 4. So today we will be moving on to chapter 5, Adaptation in Plants. Dear children, you see this earth is capable of supporting life. Almost in every part of the world life exists in one form or another. But you will notice that the creatures that exist in a certain environment, they have brought out certain changes in themselves in order to survive in that environment. For example, the creatures who live in plains and the creatures who live in mountains, they have some difference in them, in their physical structure, right? Why? These changes are there so that they can survive in their respective environments. In the same way, dear children, plants, though they grow almost everywhere on the earth, but you'll notice that plants of one region are different from plants of other region. Why is that? Because they have brought out some changes in themselves in order to survive in their respective environment. So in that regard, today in this chapter we will be learning about how different types of plants have brought out changes in themselves in order to survive in different regions of the world. Hence the chapter Adaptation in Plants. Now before I start this chapter, there are two terms you need to be very familiar with. Alright, first term is habitat. First term is habitat, H-A-B-I-T-A-T, habitat. You see, habitat refers to the place where an organism lives. Okay, you can say the home of an animal, a home of an organism, not just animal, plant, anything. If it's a living thing, if it's surviving somewhere, it becomes habitat. Understood? And by habitat I just don't mean a building or a skyscraper. Here habitat refers to a region. Here habitat refers to a region, a particular area where an organism can live and survive. Second term that you need to be familiar with is adaptation. A-D-A-P-T-A-T-I-O-N, adaptation. A-D-A-P-T-A-T-I-O-N, adaptation. So when we talk adaptation, what we are talking about here is that general changes that we bring in our body, not just us, any organism, in order to survive in a particular area, it brings out certain changes in itself. Those changes are referred to as adaptation. So you can say features that help an organism to survive and grow in a particular region. Okay, features here refer to bodily changes. Okay, how the plants or any other creatures, I am talking plants because this chapter is basically about adaptation of plants, but any organism, in order to survive in an area, it brings out certain change in itself. Those changes or those features are referred to as adaptation. So these two are the terms you need to be very familiar with. Now having learned these terms, we will move on to the chapter. We will see what the chapter has for us. Alright, so let's continue. Very first topic, habitat and adaptation. The place where an organism lives in nature is called habitat. Organisms have certain features suited to their natural surroundings. Features help plant or an animal to survive in its natural surroundings are called adaptations. Any kind of body modification, any kind of physical change, any kind of physical feature that can help an organism survive in its natural habitat is known as adaptation. Remember, over thousands and thousands of years, and I'll not just say thousands, millions of years, only those organisms have been able to survive on Earth which have successfully adapted to its habitat. The organisms, no matter how big they were, when they were not able to change and adapt according to their habitat, they died out, they finished, they went extinct. Alright, so let's see. Plants grow in different regions. Based on their habitats, plants can be divided into two groups: terrestrial plants and aquatic plants. Now here the book says that in reference to habitat, okay, you can find plants growing in two specific places: land and underwater. You know, there are some plants which grow on land, there are some plants which grow under water or on the surface of the water with their roots underwater. So the plants growing on land, okay, plants growing on land are known as terrestrial plants. T-E-R-R-E-S-T-R-I-A-L, terrestrial plants. Plants that grow on land. Remember, when I say land, I just don't mean plain. It can be mountain, it can be valley, it can be delta, for all I care. But if it's growing on land, it's a terrestrial plant. In the same way, plants growing in water are known as aquatic plant. A-Q-U-A-T-I-C, aquatic plants. So you can say the habitat of the plants are divided into two broad categories: land, that is for terrestrial plants; water, that is for aquatic plants. Now we'll continue with terrestrial plants. Terrestrial plants, like I told you, plants that grow on land are called terrestrial plants. Plains, mountains and deserts are example of terrestrial habitat. Now, well, like I told you earlier, that when I said land, okay, I meant every bit of it. So basically there are three what you call land features where plants grow. You have plains, you have mountains, and you have deserts. Okay, plains, mountains and desert. These are the three places where you find three different categories of plants growing. Plants in plains. Plains are some large flat areas of land, normally our area. Okay, our area. Plain, flat. Some plains receive low rainfall while others receive heavy rainfall. Right now even our area is receiving heavy rainfall, almost. Due to this difference, the plants growing in them show different adaptations. You see, plants growing in low rainfall region will have different body modifications in comparison to plants growing in areas of heavy rainfall. So let's see plants growing in low rainfall, how they are adapted. Plants growing in plains with low rainfall. Mango, Ashoka, Gulmohar are example of trees growing in areas with low rainfall. Now let's see what are their adaptations. Trees growing in areas with low rainfall have many branches. Second, most of these trees shed all their leaves during the dry season. Therefore, they are called deciduous trees. Here is a term for you, deciduous. Most of the trees, before the onset of winter or during winter, they shed up all their leaves. All their leaves fall. All their leaves fall. And they are called deciduous trees. Okay, so adaptations of plants in plains with low rainfall. Okay, just now as we have covered, the plants that grow in plains but in areas where there is a very low rainfall, their adaptations are, first of all, they have many branches. Okay, see, many branches, it equals lot of leaves, okay, lot of fruit support capacity, and a stronger canopy, the upper covering, stronger canopy. Second one, shed their leaves in dry season. Whenever the season becomes dry, whether it's winter, whether it's summer, doesn't make a difference. If it becomes very dry, then these kind of trees lose almost all their leaves, and there is a very good reason for it, dear children. In previous chapter you remember that plants lose excess water through their leaves, and in dry season plant needs every bit of water that it has or it can get. Hence it can't have lot of leaves because it will lead to large amount of transpiration, right? Large amount of water will be evaporated from the surface of the leaves, and this way plant can die. So plant on its own, it drops all its leaves fall out, so that transpiration can be limited. So these are the two adaptations of trees in plains with low rainfall. And remember, the trees which shed their leaves during dry season, they are known as deciduous, DECIDUOUS, deciduous plants, or you can say deciduous trees only. Deciduous plants or deciduous trees, plants which shed their leaf in dry season, they are known as deciduous plants. Now let's look at adaptations of plants in plains with heavy rainfall. Now some of you might be thinking heavy rainfall is a boon for plants, but most of us we know that it's not so. Heavy rainfall means stronger current flow, flood-like conditions which can lead to uprooting of trees. Plus we know excess water is not good for plants in any way. So let's see how they are adapted to it. Trees growing in areas with heavy rainfall have many leaves. So first adaptation they have is that just opposite to low rainfall plants, they have many leaves. Okay, these plants have many branches, but this one have many leaves. These trees do not shed all their leaves during dry season. They remain green almost throughout the year. Therefore they are called evergreen trees. Do not shed all their leaves. They never become completely barren. They never become completely empty. Hence, whenever you, no matter what time of the year it is, whenever you look at these trees like rubber or teak, right? Whenever you look at these trees, you are going to find that they will have leaves in them. That's why these trees are also known as evergreen trees. Okay, so two adaptations of theirs are, they have many leaves, right? And they do not shed all their leaves in the dry season. They remain green throughout the year. That's why they are also referred to as evergreen trees. Now let's move on to plants on mountains. Mountains are highly raised areas of land. Now unlike plains, mountains have some height, some altitude, and are generally colder than plains. Definitely temperature out there is very low. Pine, fir and deodar are example of trees that grow on mountains. These trees are flowerless. Instead of flowers and fruits, they bear cone with seeds. You see, the plants that we learnt about, pine, fir, deodar, okay, that grow on mountains, they don't have flowers or fruits. They don't have flowers or fruits. And it is also a type of adaptation only. Instead of flowers and fruits, they have hard cones with seeds enclosed within. Hard cones with seed enclosed within. So let's look at their adaptation. Trees that grow on mountains are usually cone shaped so that snow can easily slide off their branches. Okay, you might have seen that the trees that grow on mountains, okay, instead of being a normal tree, right, instead of being a normal tree, they are cone shaped. They are cone shaped. Why cone shaped? Because when snow falls on them, snow can easily slide off and fall down. Now some of you might be thinking, what's harm of snow falling on these trees? You see, if they would be flat, then snow would accumulate, snow would gather up there, right? Slowly it would become too heavy and branches will break and fall off. Even the whole tree can break due to the weight of snow falling on it. Hence, they are cone shaped so that most of the snow easily slides down, and this way trees are protected from breaking. Second, most trees have small needle-like leaves with waxy coating to prevent any damage from snow. Even the leaves, they are small, they are needle-shaped, and they have a waxy coating. Waxy coating means it's slippery, snow cannot stay on it, snow will slide off, and in this way, snow cannot damage the plant. And now next one, plants in deserts. Now what do we know about desert? First of all, desert are sandy areas. Secondly, deserts have very low rainfall, even no rainfall you can say. Water supply out there is very scarce. So let's see what kind of plants grow there and how they are adapted. I think you have already understood what kind of plants grow there. Mostly the best example of this would be cactus. So let's continue. Desert receive very little rainfall, thus they are dry. Plants that need very little water to grow are found in deserts. Cactus and acacia are examples of plants that grow in deserts. Now, adaptations. Desert plants have very few or no leaves in order to prevent transpiration. Remember this one. Why they have very few or no leaves? So that there won't be any transpiration, so no water loss. Instead, they have spines and thorns which prevent loss of water. The stem of these plants is thick and fleshy as it stores water. Plants such as cactus have green stem that contain chlorophyll. These stems carry out photosynthesis. You see, the stem of this plant, okay, is thick and fleshy. It stores water, and as there are very few to no leaves on them, so the stem itself is green. It contains chlorophyll. So I think you have already understood that in these desert plants, instead of leaves, stem carry out the photosynthesis. Stem carries out the photosynthesis. Alright. So children, today we will be stopping here. This covers your terrestrial plant areas. Okay. Terrestrial plant adaptations. In the next video, we will be covering the adaptation of aquatic plants. Thank you very much. Stay safe.